Hello, how are you? Happy February. I've been feeling a lot of vibrations of love. It truly is the month of love, especially today. I'm going to take this off because I think it's very reflective. I'm quite blind. Not exactly sure was what I wanted to talk about, but just felt like checking in while I'm in such a vibe. And yeah, so on the topic, so first, tomorrow is a very important day for me. It's going to be a milestone or just a very important day in my life. And also it happens to be the day when my favorite singer, Khalil actually passed away last year. So I'll probably upload something commemorating that. And when I saw that, I was like, that's not a coincidence. It's like a lot of things with his like his birthday, his I guess his death day as well, are actually very significant days in my life as well. And so it's very interesting. And I think with him and his music, the first thing that stands out to me is love. Like, how can someone sing so much about love and sing it in such a genuine and sincere way? I think was something that really touched me. And when I was younger, when I, first listened to his music, I thought it was just about someone. Like, he's very romantic. He's in love with a girl. And a lot of his fans think we know who that woman is. But, we think it's about a person. But I think why it resonated so strongly with me was because he's actually very, very intensely spiritual. And he's a member of the Baha'i faith, which believes that all religions are one. And I was fortunate enough to visit a Baha'i temple where I had a very emotional experience there. And just that feeling of universal love that transcends race, dogma, sect, religion, nationality, color, just universal, overwhelming love for mankind, for humanity, for brotherhood is something that you sense so strongly in his persona, his character, his aura, his presence, his music. And so later on, especially now, like when I listen to his music, I actually had this idea like about a year ago. He's maybe like this love he's saying, like when he's saying love, 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 or like all these great odes, it's like, what if he's not singing it to a person, but he's singing it for God, like singing it for the universe? Because that's what I felt. Like a lot of times when I sing these songs now, it's like, it's not particularly directed towards a person. Like I can be very into it. I can be very like emotional and dramatic and like very feeling it. But it's not even because I'm like, oh, someone like broke my heart and now I'm singing my heart out. It's towards the universal sense of love, the divine love that flows through all of us. And that's an energy that I wanted to celebrate. His soul, right? His soul, such a beautiful soul. That's why he's called Soul Boy, and he's so into soul music. It's just something, it speaks through your soul, the love that flows through your soul. So yeah, so I'm so grateful he's born. And I thought I would meet him on the street one day. Just like, I've been to Hong Kong a couple times, but not fortunate enough ever to attend his concert. That was 有一个小遗憾. Like that is a bit of a, because that was on my like so-called bucket list. Like I've attended a lot of concerts by my favorite singers, but I would say like he's the one person I would actually still want to see. But then he passed, so but it's okay because when he passed last year, it really affected me. But this year, a couple of days ago, I heard that my basically one of my favorite cats, the cat you saw in the last video, just passed away as well. And it's very interesting how much my relationship with and understanding of death has changed and evolved from a year ago to now, because before it impacted me so strongly. Before, like a year ago, when 2 deaths I heard about, it really kind of shook me. But when I heard about my little baby cat's death, I was actually very happy for, interestingly, right? Because I felt first and foremost, and then I felt sad a bit later on, but first and foremost really happy that he's united with the oneness, like he's part of the universe, and I feel he's still so close to me, as if he never left. But just a few words about this cat is he's so special, right? I've taken care of a lot of cats, but animals are like humans. Each person is unique, and their relationship with you, their soul with you, the bond is very much a dynamic, like a chemistry between you two. And this is very true, definitely of animals as well as humans. And so there's something about that cat. I mean, we had a very special relationship, right? First, yeah, in the video you saw, it was very special. He made me feel that way. Such deep love, and just his little quirks. Like he would call a lot. He'd always be meowing, like calling. You know, some cats actually vocalize a lot, so he was always like basically like screaming for me to go up and feed him water from the sink. So it actually, like, he can very well drink water from a bowl or whatever, or from the sink, but he would want me to cup the water with my hands and then drink it from my hands and lick it, like lap it from my hands. Just so cute. And sometimes I come in and meet him, and I gave him a nickname in Chinese, and I'd be like, oh, and then I would like basically like straddle, like just like go like it's kind of scary for a cat when like you're like between the sounds, like you're standing over it basically, like he's like in between, and then I'm like walking like that, and then he's kind of like, huh, what is she doing? So little special moments. And when he sat on my lap too, I was watching some videos and he sat on my lap, and it's so funny. It's just like, you know, a couple months ago, some time ago, you're together, and now you just have these videos, and each person, each soul is so unique. I actually posed this question to a sangha I'm gonna attend tomorrow. I asked a question about souls and reincarnation because I was like, huh, if it takes animals, so in Hindu religion, we believe like it takes souls 8 million reincarnations to become a human soul, from basically soil, like inorganic, to plant life, to animal life, like basic life, to more complex life, to finally be evolved as a human being, where you have the cerebral spinal centers where you're able to achieve divinity or enlightenment. So it takes and then you have many more lifetimes where you actually are able to achieve liberation. So yeah, so I was wondering, I was like, huh, but if these animals are constantly evolving into higher life forms, I was like, technically, wouldn't there be an infinite supply of life forms that have yet to evolve? And so I was like, is there no end to salvation, basically? I was like, if our goal is to liberate ourselves and every other human being and to like achieve universal liberation and brotherhood, whatever, I was like, what? But then I was like, what about all these plant lives and like snails and like friggin', like yesterday I was like, you know, I brought out a cricket. I was like looking at this cricket. I was like, oh my God, and this cricket and then this cat and all these cats, and if they're all gonna become like, eventually souls are gonna evolve. I was like, oh no, there's like an infinite supply. I was like, it's never gonna end. But then I was like, that's probably how God wants it. So he has endless lila, like endless play, like drama of creation to watch, which is why we're all made anyway. So anyway, this is getting very metaphysical. By sense, we're talking about death, I guess. So yeah, we'll see if they actually answer my question, because it's kind of off topic. But it's interesting to know my own spiritual progress in this field as well, which I will definitely have to talk for hours at length about in a separate space. But yeah, you know, like before my questions, when I go to these things, I would like, it was so personal. It was always like my problem, like my own thing with somebody. And now I'm just like, or like something in my life, I guess. And now it's like, I guess if like I were to ask a question, it would be kind of on like this life and death and reincarnation question. I also had a question, but I didn't want to ask too many questions, but I also had a question about hearing actual sounds through which side of the body, like left or right. Because my guru said it's easier to hear things on the right side because it's creative. But for the longest time, like I would hear things more easily on the left side. So I was like, what is that? Like, what does that mean? But I don't remember. Yeah, I'll probably have to ask this separately. But when I asked this question, when someone actually answered for me, they were kind of impatient and they were like, it's not, but they're basically like, stop being so intellectual. Like, it doesn't matter if it's left or right or like where it comes from. It's like, it's important that you feel devotion in your heart or like love. And I was like, yes, yes. Okay, but this is way off topic, and maybe that was private. I should have shared it. Anyway, but yeah, those are just some curiosities and ponderings that I had. Yeah, I guess back to love and souls and uniqueness. Yeah, it's so interesting. Can you imagine if they say, like, every snowflake is unique? Like, first, how they're actually able to prove that? Because since if there's an infinite supply of snow, like, technically, like, how do you prove these things? Like, mathematically or physically, or I don't know. Like, what is the law that defines that for sure it's unique? It must be not just deductible. It must be like, how do I say it? There must be a higher reasoning or even maybe intuition at play where you're able to, is it inductive? I don't know. But then to say, for example, if every snowflake and every grain of sand and everything is unique. And then learning about quantum, right? Quantum mechanics and how we learn about, is a synchronicity? What was the phrase? That basically there's some quirks out there that are attached to other quirks in the universe, and it's like just those two have a special relationship and are attached to each other. And I was like, what? How does that? But then all these questions can be answered if you look at it from a more spiritual perspective, because science is not at the point where you can actually answer these questions by pure logic. So yeah, but there is definitely a metaphysical and spiritual answer. So yeah, the soul question, we're all unique. And so before, I'm still actually quite into this. I was just talking to my spiritual friend and asking him to guess what type I was. But it's funny because it's harder and harder to guess, especially for people who are, I guess, trying to develop themselves, because the whole point, the problem is so many people these days take these tests and they become attached, they become identified with a label, they become identified with a particular type. And that's actually kind of the trap, what the original authors intended you not to do. They wanted to use these models as a way for us to transcend our limitations, for us to grow and develop, to be able to assess our weaknesses, our strengths, and then to see, okay, where can I improve? Just I'm more self-aware, and so now I know that I can transcend my limitations, basically go beyond my type. But now people like attach these labels to themselves, like almost like they're proud of it, like, oh, I am an INTJ, therefore I am this, and this explains this about me, and therefore you shouldn't, like, therefore this is just the way I am, which I think is okay to some extent, but it's also, it's a limiting application. So things like the Enneagram, MBTI, different personality models. I mean, I love these models, I love these theories, but at a certain point, first they became limited for me in terms of applicability, like actual usefulness, because I started typing a lot of people wrong. And that's when I noticed that maybe I was more in tune with their Enneagram or their motivations or desires. It's a different personality model as opposed to just their cognitive functions. I don't know what it was, but especially with people whose MBTI and Enneagram don't quite align in the stereotypical way, it was kind of difficult to box them in, so to speak, or to like label them. And then so when I kept getting it wrong, I was kind of like, questioning, like, why am I, like, that kind of got me a little disillusioned with the model, so to speak. And so I was like, I don't know if I like this model anymore. Especially also because I can't really even define myself, I think. Because a lot of people try to guess or to label me and they can't quite do it. They either can't or it applies a little bit but not fully. So I was like, okay, this is limited. And then, so before, even when I used to type people like across all these models, like instinctual variant, Enneagram, MBTI, and all these things, like I think like I can like, like basically identify you with all these things, but it's still it's just like a frame. And then all of your individual idiosyncrasies, your own personality, your own spirit is something that can't be captured. So it's like, so back to the spiritual thing. So like as you evolve, so the original point is you become more like each type. So in the Enneagram model, you have 9 different types. But as you evolve as a human being, I find that you slowly sort of balance out the whole circle. And so it's definitely harder and harder to type. Same with gender, same with your masculine feminine dynamic, which is a different topic. So yeah, I think I don't know about this kind of video. We'll see. I just kind of felt like sharing some thoughts. But I think I may need a different space to really talk about stuff, like, because a lot of stuff I want to talk about is like basically God and spirituality, which is, I know, not everyone's cup of tea. And so I'm kind of split between like, well, what if they might be interested, and what if I can actually be kind of a, you know, maybe there's some kind of an influence, or I don't know. I mean, that dimension is not that strong for me. But and the other is just like, okay, maybe I should just create a new space. But okay, so back to you guys. We talked about a lot about death, different connections, personal connections, personality, uniqueness. Basically, if this apply, like if I were to tie this back to you, the viewer, you are unique as well. You're so individual and unique, and that's what I found was streaming, which I sadly do very little of these days. But one thing I really enjoyed about streaming was how different and unique each person's energy was. Despite not seeing a face, most of the time not hearing a voice or seeing a face, not knowing much about the person. But for people who regularly came, or had a, particular vibe, each person is so unique. I can immediately sense this person's energy. So to the point that I don't even need to see your name, your username, but just the things you say, I'm like, this sounds like so-and-so. This is so-and-so. And that's a spirit, that's a persona, that's a soul. So that's one thing I really enjoyed is this different influx of energy and being able to relate and connect with people of so many different souls, so many such unique souls, such unique energies, and then how they interact and play with each other. So each person is unique. Each person has their particular talents in life. And if we're going back to calling, before I used to have a certain kind of anxiety about what I wanted to do, or because there are so many different options, right? There are so many different things of potentials and various strengths that you have, or various different even talents or gifts, if I may say, that you could develop or you see it as potential or latent. And other people are also suggesting different things, saying that, you have a gift in this, like, you could be a teacher, you should be a teacher, you should be a professor, or like you're good with helping people, like, you're good at basically like getting these, maybe like, people to open up and see the light and dissect their problems. Like, you could be a psychologist and a counselor, or this or that, or this and that. And having thought about different things, or feeling pressured, or like wanting to know, like, okay, what is my purpose? Like, what can I do? I have to say very strongly that first, if you develop your intuition and just develop your faith and trust in the universe, it becomes quite clear in the sense of just desire. I think before, like when they say trust your heart or your gut, and me having seen or read a lot of stories about people who have been felt a calling to do certain things, whether it's to be, most recently someone told me if I consider being a monk, which I was kind of like, oh my God, I hope it's not. Okay, maybe I shouldn't say this. But I was like, oh man. So yeah, whatever it is. So I've heard stories of people who became renunciants, became monks, monastics, and then people who became guitar players and musicians, artists, all kinds of things. And a lot of times it was something called a calling. Like I feel pulled, I feel drawn to do this. I feel something I heard like repeatedly, like was so interesting in the rock and roll museum. 2 out of 4 of the like guys that they chose to highlight, like 2 of the 4, like one of the best guitar players in the world, they both said, I didn't pick guitar chose me. And I was like, what are the chances of that? Like almost verbatim, not the way I said it, but the way they said it, it was almost exact same thing, which is guitar chose me. Like out of nowhere. And one of the guys was actually quite old when he touched it, like 20s, maybe even 30s. I don't know. And then he decided to devote 8 to 9 hours a day playing guitar. Like 8-10 hours. He stopped singing his friends. He stopped doing everything. He just started playing guitar like crazy. And so that's what I want to say. It's like when you feel a calling this strongly, you absolutely know. This is a separate topic because I want to talk about this. It's like a lot of people think they know things about you, or think they know what you can do or you can't do, but they don't, because they may not have experienced something like that, and they don't know your hidden potential. They don't know you, basically, and they don't know how the great potential, latent potential for achievement and development in every single thing in life. That's a separate topic. Okay. So back to this. It's so I can tell you, like, for a long time, many years, I had this thing where I was like, should I become a psychologist, like a psychotherapist, basically, like therapy. And I was like, because thanks to God, but I felt like I had a certain ability to basically do this based on many years of various strangers and people telling me things and talking to me, basically. So I was like, so many years I was thinking about this, and like for some years, like the application deadline would come, and like, do I want to apply to this program? And I think this past year was the last time when I was like, you know what? No, I don't want to apply. I don't want to apply, and I solidly know I'm not going to apply. I'm not going to be a therapist. And it's interesting because you have these gifts, you could go down this path, right? And it's very well paying. It's, it's stable. It'll make my parents happy. It would be like, and you do have a gift for it, and it actually helps people. It does meaningful work. But there's something about it that why I couldn't decide for so long. Like, why couldn't I just make that call? Like, why didn't it feel right? Why did I have to be like, I think you have to know. Some things you just know. And especially now with meditation and with being more attuned with God and with my guru and, and your life purpose, I think you just feel like you're just, okay. I was like, okay, no, that's not for me. And yeah, and I think it's a great relief as well to know that you don't know when it's going to hit you either. You actually don't know. If you haven't found your calling yet or your purpose, it's almost crazy. You don't know when it might hit you. So sometimes we're so absorbed in our current dilemma and problems. Like the other day I was in this group thing where I think I have to go very soon. Let me check this out. So maybe I should wrap this up. Okay, yes, I do have to go. So I was in this group, conversations with really nice space. And then one of the guys, basically everyone's very absorbed in the current situation. So he was like, but I'm currently doing this program. And then there's these, and I'm like very busy. And I was like, but he cannot even imagine what his life is going to be like in 8 years, like, and how different it might be from his current program, his current responsibilities. Okay, you know what? I have to make a separate video on this. But yeah, I was like, you have to prioritize what's really important to you in your life right now, which is, first of all, to go deep, to go vertically. And it's not so much horizontally like what you do in life, but it's so much more about the consciousness you're developing right now. Because everything in the external, you have no idea. Like, you honestly cannot predict. Like, I cannot tell you just like nothing in my life, right? Nothing, absolutely nothing I could have seen a year ago. Nothing a year ago I could have seen a year ago before that. It's just absolutely insane. So to focus so much of our time and energy on like just the changeable external factors of what's around it's very delusory. It's kind of a waste of your energy. You just gotta focus right here. That's okay. I guess I just wanted to ramble about 10 different topics today. Sending a lot of light and love. And thank you so much. Have a great day. Thank you. Bye.